back to Libratress YouTube channel. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful gather dress that we see here. It has a collar. You can see the collar is extending to the back. It's a free dress and it has belts that you can use to snatch the waist if you want. It's a very simple tutorial. I'm going to take you through how to cut and sew this in this class. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so this is a kimono cut, which means the shoulder and the sleeve is going to be cut together. So it's up to you and the measurement you want to use. So you just need to measure your shoulder first, and then once you measure your shoulder, you go ahead and measure the sleeve length. It's the desired sleeve length that you want to work with. So that is how you get your width measurement. So once you have that, you're going to take your neckline measurement. So for me, I want 3 inches neck width. Okay, and then here I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to create my shoulder slope. Okay, let me turn it like this so that we can see what I'm doing. So this is where the shoulder stop. This is the shoulder measurement, and this is the sleeve length measurement. So from here to here is my neck width, and then on my where my sleeve stop, I came down by 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to connect it to my neck width to create my shoulder slant. Can you see that? So once you have that, you're going to come down here by 1 inch, and then you're going to mark your neck depth. So this is 1 inch, and then I'm going to go ahead and create my neckline curve for the back. Okay, that is the neckline for the back. So the next thing is to create your sleeve opening. Depending on how wide you want your sleeve to be, you can use your bust point measurement as a reference, or if there's a particular sleeve opening measurement that you want to use, you can also use that. So for me, I'm marking 10 inches. That's my bust point. So I'll mark 10 inches here as well, and then I will make it into a straight line. Okay, so now on that point, I'm going to mark what I have here. Okay, so here I have around 18.5. I'm going to mark the same 18.5 inches here so that I can complete my sleeve. Okay, so that part is going to be my sleeve opening. So the next thing now is to shape this. So to shape it, you can now turn it like this. I think the camera will be able to capture everything like this. So to shape it, what we need to do now is to measure our bust. The round bust I'm working with is 40. 40 divided by 2 is by 4 is 10. So here I'm going to mark 10 inches, and then it depends on how, it's not a fitted dress, so it depends on how free you want it to be. So for me, I'll add extra 2 inches, and then I'll add ½ inch to sew it. So that's like adding extra 2.5 inches to my measurement. So from there, you're going to go ahead and mark your waist, your half length, okay, which is where your waist is, and then from there you're going to mark your hip line, and then you mark the full length of the upper part. Remember, it has a gather under. So to know the full length, you first measure where it is you want the dress to stop. For me, I want the length to be around 38 inches. That's the full length that I want. So for my gather, I'm going to be using around 10 to 12. So I can count backward from 38. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 28 if you want to use 10. If you want to use 12, that would be 26 inches. So it's up to you and what you want to use. So for me, I'm just going to mark the full length on 27 inches because of seam allowance. So I'll come here again and then mark 27. So this is where the first part of the gown is going to stop. This is my hip line, and this is my waistline. Okay, So on your waistline, you're going to take your waist measurement divided by 4. The waist I'm working with is 30, divided by 4 is 7.5. And then I'm going to add the extra 2.5 inches that I added for the upper one. So this is 1 inch, 2 inch and half. So I'll come to the hip as well. The hip I'm working with is 42. So 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'll mark 10.5, and then I'll also add extra 2.5 inches. So this is 1, 2 and half on it. So whatever measurement I have on the hip, that's the measurement I'm going to be taking on the full length as well. Remember that you have added all the necessary allowances here. So the next thing now is to create your side curve. You join from your waist to your hip, and then from your waist to your, from bust to waist, and then from waist to hip. And then here you can now use your slight part of your curve to connect to the hem. So make sure you don't have any sharp parts. Even the waist, you can even increase the waist, so that because it's going to have a belt that will still cinch it for you. So you can decide to even add extra waist allowance on the waist. So this is what we have. So now you're going to connect the sleeve to the body, so that it's not just going to be a sharp point like this. You can use your free hand, or you can just use a nice curve to blend them in with each other, just like this. Can you see what we have there? It's no longer sharp. So this is the upper part of the dress, and this is fine for the back. So for the front, it's going to have a collar in front. So for that, you're going to determine how wide our collar is going to be. So for me, my collar is going to be around 2 to 2.5 inches. So I'm going to be taking that out from the center. Okay, I'm going to be taking that out from center. If you want to work with 2.5 inches, I'll just take 2 inches out, then the remaining ½ inch is what I'm going to use to sew the collar to the dress back. So you're going to go ahead now and mark that on your tape rule. So I'm marking out 2 inches, so you can see these 2 inches. I'm marking 2 inches out all the way to the hem, and then you go ahead and connect it. So when you connect it, you need to note your neckline depth for the front. So for the front, I'm going to be working with around 9 to 10 inches for my, let me just maintain what I have here as my neckline depth. So I'm going to take the 2 inches up to that point, and once I get to that point, I'm going to connect from there all the way to the neck width like this. It's just going to give you like a small slant. So this is what we're going to be having for the front. So for the front, all of this is going to be going. So I have already cut it on my fabric, and my camera was not recording, so I'm going to just show you how to cut it now, so that you understand what I did. Okay, so when you want to cut, you're going to first cut in full like this. Remember, we folded both front and back together. So I'm going to cut everything in full, so that your back is going to be full. And then when you are folding, make sure that your center back is on fold. It does not have a zipper. So your center back is going to be on fold. When I cut this, I'm going to show you how to fold your fabric with this paper. Okay, so when you cut this now, you take out the shoulder loop. You take out the shoulder loop, and then you take out your back neckline. So this is what your back is going to look like when you are done cutting. So after cutting your back now, you will just trace this out for the front, but you must have cut this one for the back first, and this place has to be on fold. The back is not separate. So now for the front, you are going to take this part out. Sorry, my camera was not recording when I was cutting earlier on the fabric. So this is what you are going to have for the front. So to fold your fabric, let me show you how to fold your fabric. You will first note your width, and remember the width is going to be your shoulder plus your sleeve, just like you measured earlier. So the width of your fabric is going to be your shoulder measurement plus your sleeve measurement. So once you know the width of your fabric, That is what you are going to use to fold your fabric into 4. So you first fold your fabric into 2 like this, and then you fold again into 4. So we have 4 folds. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So once you fold into 4 like this, remember I said the back has to be on fold. So that means that this part that is folded is going to be your back, and this open part is going to be your front. I hope you understand. So when you are taking your measurements, you take it from here. You take your shoulder plus your sleeve, you take your sleeve opening, you take your bust, and then you connect just like this. So when you want to cut as well, you first cut the neckline so that you can take out the back, and then you'll now be able to slash open the front to take the front out as well. This is what we have now. You can see this is the back. The part is together. It does not have opening at the back, and this is the front. So for the front, it's not going to be as big as the back. Remember that. Let me shift it so that you can see. Remember that we have this thing. We slash this open at the center here. Can you see the neckline part is open? So this is what we have. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine now, and then I'm going to join the shoulder together. Okay, I'll join the shoulder for the 2 sides so that we can work on the collar. I'm gonna head to join the shoulder. You can see that I fixed a pocket, same pocket to mine. If you don't know how to fix a pocket, you can learn that on the channel. It's there already. So the next thing we're going to do now is to tape the sleeve area. Can you see the sleeve? So I'm using a Mikado fabric for my taping. So you go ahead and cut out your fabric, okay, around 2 inches, and then use it to tape the sleeve front before you join this side. I have done that for this part. Can you see? I have taped my sleeve with this fabric. Okay, I just folded the fabric. I cut out 5 inches, then I folded them half an inch on both sides and iron. Then you just lock your sleeve. Okay, you just lock this part inside the fabric that you're using for taping, and then you'll be able to sew the side. So once I'm done with this, now we'll work on the neckline. Okay, you can see now that I have joined the sides, and then I've also joined the collar. My camera stopped recording, so I'm going to show you how to go about the collar. Okay, this is my sleeve. I have taped the sleeve and I've joined the side. I've also gone to weave the rough edges. So for the collar, this is what you need to do. You're going to measure round the space that the collar is going to be. So this is the front. You measure from the hem of the front like this, and then you measure round the neckline, and then back to the front. You can see how the collar is going to be. You have the collar full in front, and then for the back is just going to be the neckline. So you measure around what you want to do. Okay, here now the full round collar is 63 inches. So for easy access, I'm going to just divide that into 2, and I will have 32 inches, which means from here, from the hem of the front ear to half of the neck is 32 inches. So if you want the full measurement, you just multiply it by 2. I hope you understand that. So for your collar, you're going to bring in your fabric. I'll explain with this paper. You're going to bring in your fabric, and then you cut the width of your collar on fold. Remember I said I want the width of my collar to be 2.5 inches. So if I want to cut this one now, I'll add ½ inch for seam allowance to it, which means I'll cut out 3 inches. If you want the width of each of your collar, not all of them, each side like this. So if you want the width of your own collar to be 2 inches, for example, it means you will just add ½ inch to that, and you measure out 2.5 inches on fold. So when you open it up, it's going to be 5. If you measure 3 inches, when you open it up, it's going to be 6. So that is the width of your collar, and then the length is going to be that 63 inches that you took round. That's going to be the length of the collar, and the width is just going to be how wide you want your collar to be. So like I said, for easy access, I'm going to fold it into 2, and when you fold this into 2, it means you have 32 inches and 32 inches. Remember, this is a paper and it is shorter. So once you have it, the next thing now is to shape it. Because the width of this collar is high and I'm using a Mikado fabric, I want it to relax better on the neck. I don't want the person to raise the neck and then the collar will be disturbing them. So you're going to measure where your neckline is going to be and shape it out. Basically, this is the neckline part, okay? This back of your neck, that's what I'm saying. You can see that it's shorter. I want to reduce it compared to what I have coming down here. So, and this part, this folded part here, that is the part that's going to be your neckline. So you are going to take your measurement there. Remember, we have 3 inches here. So for this part, depending on how high you want it to be, you can just measure 2 inches. That's the part of your neck, your center back on your neck. Then I'm going to take my ruler and then blend it into what I have there. So for better understanding, I have gone to cut this on a fabric so that we'll have a life size length. So this is the collar, like this. You can see on fold, I have 3 inches here on fold, and for the length as well, I have folded it in such a way that it is separate, like this. Can you see? So once you have it on fold, you measure out your neckline. So the neckline that I want to use for my front and back on fold is 14 inches. That's what I use for here. And this is the neckline from the center of your back. You can put it on fold here. From the center of your back to where the neck stop in front, to where it is joined in front here, for me is 14 inches. That is what I am using for mine. Can you see? 14 inches. Can you see it? 14 inches. So what I'm going to do is to come here now and then mark the 14 inches. That is my neckline, 14 inches. Then all this part now is going to be the center front. So because I don't want it too high, what I'm going to do at the center back here on fold, I'm going to measure maybe 2 inches so that when I sew with half an inch, I'll have 1.5. But depending on how much you are comfortable with. So I'm going to measure that out, and then I'll take my ruler and then connect it like this into the neckline. So that way this place will not be so high, okay, for the neck. This part is not compulsory, but if you are using very hard fabric like Mikado Ashoke that will just stand there, the person may not be able to raise their neck very well. That is why this part is important. So you can see now that we have something smaller on our neckline and it just widens as it goes down. So the next thing now is to shape the neckline. So to sew it on this 14 inches that we notched, that is where we are going to be sewing. That's where the neckline stops. So I can just place a notch there, okay, to indicate it. So what you want to sew is the center, which is the fold point here. You are going to place them on each other. If you iron, you already have a crease line that will make it easy for you. So you are going to place them against each other. Can you see my notches? The 14 inches against the 14 inches, and then you run a stitch at the center. I'm just going to hold it with pins now so that we will see. So we'll pin it as if we have sewn it. What you are sewing is that center part. So you're just going to go sew the center all the way down like this. You can see I'm pinning it from that 14 inches. You will sew it all the way to the hem. So once you sew it and you open it up, you will see that that place is already closed. The part you have opened is just your neckline. Then you'll be able to sew it to your dress. I hope you understand that. I had to bring in this fabric because that paper was too short. Okay, so now I'll assume that I have sewn from my neckline, which is the 14 inches I've marked, all the way to the hem. So when you open it out, this is what you are going to have. Can you see now that it is joined together? Can you see? And then you have your collar part opened like this. Okay, this is what it looks like on the wrong side. So this part is going to be joined and your collar is going to be opened. So you will now bring in your clothes like this. You bring in your clothes, and then we have already notched the center, so you will notch the center back too, and then you just slot it in, and then sew it. Remember that this part will not be there, you just have your front without the collar. So you will notch, you match the center with the center, and then you sew it down on this side. You come to the other side and sew it down. The front is actually separate, is slashed. This is what is going to bring them together for you. This is what is going to join it together. So to make it easy, you can just go ahead and use your iron to fold in the seam allowance like this. So that way you will just slot your front inside it and pin, and then you'll be able to sew it around. So this is what I have. So for the belt, my belt is not coming from the side, it's going to come from the center. So from the center I just marked 7 inches. It's totally up to you depending on what you want. For me, I just mark 7 inches. If you want it to be on your bust band from your front, you just mark maybe 4 inches, 5 inches. This is just to snatch the waist, to give it a shanks effect. And if you want, you can also put it by the side, but this is where I want mine, so I have put it there. So the last thing to do now is to go ahead and complete this dress, and I'm going to be completing it with the gathers at the hem. Remember when we were taking our measurements, we measured out a gather to complete the hem. So depending on how full you want your gathers to be, you can measure around the hem and multiply by 1.5 or 2 inches, depending on how full you want it to be and how much fabric you have to work with. So this is around 26, that's 52 inches all around. So if I multiply that by 2, I'm going to have around 104. So it's up to you, and if you don't want it too full, you can multiply by 1.5. So that is the width of your fabric. For the length of the gathers, you will measure out what you already have. Okay, we have about 27 inches here. So the remaining part that is supposed to complete the length of this dress for you, that is going to be the length of these gathers. So now that I have my gathers, I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and then gather it all around the hem of this dress. So once you gather it, you go ahead and weave that part as well. I have already weaved this one. Let me show you what it looks like on the inside. I have weaved the side. I have fixed my my pocket, and I have neatly weaved it. So once I put the gather around it as well, I will go ahead and weave it and iron, and the dress will be ready. So I'll take it to the sewing machine now and then weave. Sorry, I lost a lot of clip. I have to just refilm them. Okay, so you can see now that I have gone ahead to do the gathers, and this is what we have. So now we have a complete dress. This is what the back looks like, this is what the front looks like. So you just weave it, take out the thread and iron, and your dress will be ready. So I'll take it to the mannequin now so that we can see what it looks like.
So this is what it looks like after sewing and ironing. You can see how beautiful it is and how simple it is to make. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful dress with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.